Hi, it's Kari Jones here, and I am going to read chapters 13 and 14 of Out of Season, which is an Orca Currents title. Chapter 13. I had to get away from the sea otters so the poachers wouldn't see them. I sprint to a rock to hide behind. Why have they come back? About 60 feet away from me, they cut their motor and stop. One of them leans over the side of the boat like he's looking for something. His bag, I bet. They must have noticed it was missing. They'll be desperate to find it so no one knows they've been harvesting sea urchins out of season. I can't hear what they say, but I can see them arguing. Then two of them pull on dry suits and splash overboard. My hand clutches my paddle. What if one of them swims over to the sea otters? He'll see Gertrude. Then what? Without thinking or even knowing what I'm about to do, I paddle out from behind the rock. I have no plan, but I have to keep them away from the sea otters. Hey, I call. My voice hardly comes out. I try again. Hey! This time I'm louder. Mark looks at me. Hey Maya, are you calling us? He says. I wet my lips and cough to clear my throat. Are you looking for a harvest bag? He doesn't answer. I cough again. I saw a bag here earlier. Is it yours? Mark leans forward. The look on his eyes has changed. Before, he was playing at being friendly. Now he knows that I know. He starts his engine. I've made a big mistake. I was so concerned about the sea otters that I forgot to worry about myself. How could I be so stupid? Saul, over here, I shout, but there's no answer. There's a narrow channel between some rocks, 10 strokes behind me. If I can get in there, Mark won't be able to reach me. I paddle hard backward. The kayak wobbles and heads towards the rock. I correct my angle and try again. I'm still 5 strokes away from the channel. Below me, I see a dark shape. At first, I think it's a sea otter, but it's moving too slowly. Then I see bubbles, and I know exactly what it is. A diver. I brace myself as the diver hauls himself up onto the stern of my boat. He flings his chest across my back hatch. His feet hang in the water. He leans sideways and tries to tip me. I throw my weight the other way. He leans his weight left. I fling mine right. Somehow I keep my boat upright. He growls at me. It doesn't sound like a human voice. He leans again. This time I go over. The man lets go of my boat. He lunges at me underwater. I struggle to roll the kayak upright, but he's too close. He's got a rake in his hand. He's coming right for my face. A second before he hits me, something streaks by and knocks him out of the way. His tank falls to the seafloor below him. I'm running out of air, and I have no time to see what it was that hit him, so I set up my paddle and roll. When I surface, Saul is sitting in his kayak beside me. He has his paddle in one hand and his radio in the other. He's checking underwater to see where the diver got to. Mark's boat is coming our way. Are you okay? Saul asks. I can't believe you just did that. What were you thinking? It's a good question, but we don't have time to think about it right now. The channel is right behind us, but we won't both fit. My head spins around, searching for a way out. Head behind a rock, I shout. Saul understands immediately. He grabs the bow of my boat and sweeps it around, changing my angle. He gives me a push. I take one stroke and another and another. In 5 seconds, Saul and I are surrounded by rocks. They're still coming, says Saul. It's true. Mark is motoring straight towards us. I want to cry, but I need to keep my head. I breathe deeply. My fingers grip my paddle so tightly my knuckles feel like they might crack. I've done the thing I most feared. I've put everything at risk. Me, Saul, the sea otters. I look underwater. One of the divers still has a tank. He could be anywhere. Then I see a shadow slide under the water. Bubbles rise to the surface. I thrash my paddle in his direction. He backs away. When I look up, Mark is almost up on me. A wake rears off the back of Mark's boat. It sends waves crashing over the rock. Spray flies off into our faces. Our kayaks rock wildly. I grab at Saul's boat. The wave passes, but Mark circles around again and again, and another wave hits the rock. The spray soaks us. Our boats rock, knocking into each other. The diver swims up behind us, cutting off our escape from the rocks. Saul thrashes his paddle at him, but he only backs a few feet away. They're trying to corner us, I call to Saul. I'm so frightened I want to puke. Leave us alone, Saul shouts. The boat doesn't even slow down. Around it comes again. It's moving faster now. The wake is higher than our kayaks. Ah! I shout as the spray hits me. We have to get away from the rocks, Saul yells. But we're too tight against the rocks to move. The swell from Mark's wake has pushed us so close to the rocks we're in danger of being dashed against them. Our kayaks will break or we'll be swamped. Chapter 14. A dark shadow swims at us from under the water again. I grasp my paddle ready to thrash the diver. Then the dark shape flips and Oscar's head appears. He swims into the path of Mark's boat. He bares his teeth and growls. Mark looks down and laughs. He bends down in the boat where we can't see him and reappears a second later with an oar in his hand. Get out of there, Oscar, I shout. Mark turns to look at me, the oar still raised. In that moment I know he'll stop at nothing to get his net back. He's coming for us, no matter what. Oscar snarls and dives. He resurfaces a few feet further away from Mark's boat. Mark swings at him again. Now, shouts Saul. He pushes my boat. Together we sprint away from the rocks. Head for the kelp, says Saul. Oscar, I shout, can take care of himself. Now paddle, says Saul. I have no choice. I paddle with every ounce of strength I have. My arms scream at me and my stomach muscles burn as we sprint across the bay. Mark isn't distracted by Oscar for long. Before we reach the kelp, he zooms after us. Come on, shouts Saul. His boat pulls ahead of me. I paddle harder to keep up. The kayaks slide into the kelp bed and instantly slow. Keep moving, shouts Saul. I have no intention of stopping. I dig my paddle into the water and push. It slides through kelp strands. I twist the paddle as I pull it out of the water. Kelp streams off it. We paddle deeper into the kelp bed. I dig my paddle into the water and pull it towards me. It catches on a strand of kelp. I flip it off my paddle. Another catches it. I can hardly move through the water. The seaweed is so thick. We can't paddle through this kelp, yelps Saul. Keep going, I shout. He turns back to me and nods. We paddle as hard as we can, deeper and deeper into the kelp bed. Dig, pull, unwrap the paddle. Dig, pull, unwrap. We're hardly moving. The boat is gaining on us by the second. With a deep breath, I sink my paddle into the water again. It's heavy with seaweed. I'm moving as fast as I can, yet I feel like I'm crawling. I can hear Saul panting. I don't dare turn my head to look at him. I just paddle and paddle. The sound of the motor gets closer. Move it, I gasp at Saul with the last of my breath. Mark's boat is about to ram my stern when I hear the sound I've been listening for. The motor grinds and whines and then stops. I pull my paddle and slide away from Mark's boat. Mark guns the motor. Again it whines and stops. Wisps of smoke leak from the engine and the smell of burning oil fills the air. His propellers are tangled in the kelp. The boat is dead in the water. I lift my paddle out of the water and take a deep breath. That was close, I say. It's not over yet, Saul pants. He points and I look around in time to see the diver's head sink below the surface at the edge of the kelp bed. I grip my paddle and scan the water. I can't see him, I shout. We search for a sign to show us where he's gone. Then I see movement in the kelp bed. It could be Oscar or Lily, or it could be the diver. Saul's seen it too. Move it, he shouts at me. Paddle away from me as fast as you can. Splash a lot. He won't know which of us to follow, he says. I dig my paddle into the water, and the kayak inches forward through the kelp. The diver must be gaining on me. I dig my paddle in again. Sweat pours into my eyes. I glance behind me. Saul has reached the edge of the kelp bed and is speeding away from me. There are bubbles behind him. Saul, behind you, I shout. He turns and looks at the water, then plants his paddle and spins his boat around. I struggle to turn my boat around in the kelp, but I'm too slow. The diver is only a few feet away from Saul. Saul leans over as far as he can and swings his paddle through the water. A dark shape slices past. He's trying to get under you, I say. Paul swipes his paddle through the water again. I hit him, Saul shouts. The diver backs away. He surfaces and then turns and heads for me. I'm still in the kelp. Head to shore, shouts Saul, but I'm already moving and I paddle harder than I have ever had until I reach the edge of the kelp bed. Once I'm in clear water, my kayak surges forward and in seconds I slip under the overhanging branch close to shore. The diver's bubbles are close behind me. I could grasp them in my hand. Twigs and needles slash across my face as I race to shore. Go, Maya! shouts Saul from behind me. So I take another stroke and another. Then at last, Saul says, Maya, you can stop. I glance back. The diver rises to the surface. He tears off his mask. We stare at each other. Our breath comes in ragged hunks. My fingers ache and there's no strength left in my arms. I want to fling my paddle away and collapse over the deck of my kayak. But there's something about the way he's looking at us. What's he doing? Saul calls. The man puts the mask back on and submerges. His bubbles drift away from us. I wait for relief to flood my body. It doesn't. The bubbles head away from the boat towards the sea otters. He's heading for Gertrude. That's the end of chapter 14. Next time I'll be reading the last 2 chapters of the story.